everyone, I'm Vicki Murphy. I am a Jira Align specialist with Expium, which is a platinum solutions partner with Atlassian. In this video, I will be discussing the updates to Jira Align with the release of version 10.114. This version was released to Jira Align instances on the continuous release track. That's typically your test or development environment if you have one, on November 18th, 2022, and the changes will be released to production environments on December 2nd, 2022. We have a lot of updates to cover today. They do impact both end users as well as administrators. So let's go ahead and jump in. Quick reminder for any admins who are administering a Jira Align instance that is self-hosted, Atlassian is updating their .NET requirements to .NET 6. All versions after 10.114, so this version that we're talking about today, will require that .NET 6. Atlassian does recommend updating your infrastructure prior to December 7th, 2022 to ensure that your future releases of Jira Align are supported for your organization. Next, we have some updates to the t-shirt size field. Personally, I'm really excited about these updates. First, we are going to now have the option to sync the t-shirt size field bidirectionally between Jira Software and Jira Align for that feature work item in Jira Align that, of course, links to your Jira Epic issue type in Jira Software. Previous to this release, this field did sync one way from Jira Align to Jira Software. And if you've worked with this field before, you might have experienced some of the data inconsistencies that were possible. To map this field, you did have to use an editable field in Jira Software. So users were actually able to make changes to the t-shirt size field to their epics in Jira Software. However, that change wouldn't sync back to Jira Align. This, of course, caused some data inconsistencies with the tool. I do believe that this bidirectional syncing is going to help solve some of that. Another great update is that the no estimate option for that t-shirt size field is going to now sync between the tools as well. Again, previously, Jira Align had a no estimate option in the t-shirt size field, and it did not sync up with Jira Software. This, again, could cause some data inconsistencies between the tool, and being able to map that should, of course, help solve that as well. I'm now going to jump into Jira Align and just demonstrate how you can update these settings. Here I am in my Jira Align administration settings. I am on the Jira settings page on the Jira setup tab here. This is where we do all of our field mapping. And if I scroll down to those fields, there is, of course, the t-shirt size field here. If you are syncing this field, you should have your field ID here already. And now we have a new option to choose the sync direction. Jira Align to Jira Sync has been the default, or really the only option prior to this release. If your instance was existing and configured prior to this release, this will be the option that is selected. If you want to sync this field bidirectionally, meaning that as users make changes in Jira Software, those changes do update the corresponding feature in Jira Align, you can switch this to bidirectional sync here. Next to that, we have the configure button. This button was actually added a couple releases ago, and it's where we can map the options available in Jira Align to the options available for this field in Jira Software. With this release, we now have the option to add something into this no estimate area. Atlassian identified two potential options you have here. One, you can leave this blank. What that will do is if a user selects no estimate in Jira Align, it will essentially clear out that field in Jira Software. It will remove any option and leave it blank. And also vice versa. So you remove all the options in Jira Software. If that bidirectional sync is turned on, it will be moved to no estimate in Jira Align. The other option that you have is to add a value in here. So for example, you could put no estimate. Or if you don't like that phrasing, you could also say something like a waiting estimate here. A couple things to be aware of with this. First, if you are going to add a value in here, do first add it to the field in Jira Software. Putting in words here does not automatically create that option in Jira Software. I recommend adding it to Jira Software first, then coming over here and mapping it accordingly. The other thing to be aware of is users in Jira Software will still be able to fully clear out this field, meaning they will leave it blank. And if they do so and you have a value mapped here, then that blank option will not sync over to Jira Align at all. So just be aware of that when you're making your choice here. Before you actually make these updates, I do want to discuss a quick warning that Atlassian identified in their release notes with this syncing. In the release notes, Atlassian did give the warning that there is some potential for your Jira Align t-shirt size data to be overwritten if you meet the following conditions. You enable the bidirectional sync of the t-shirt size field. The no estimate option in Jira Align is mapped to the blank option in Jira, and some of the Jira Align features have an estimate that differs from the corresponding Jira epic. I have an example of this over here on my screen. You can see that this feature in Jira Align does have a medium t-shirt size, while the corresponding Jira Epic is set to none. Because this field only synced one way previous to this release, this is the type of data inconsistency I was referring to. A user made an update to the field in Jira software. It did not sync back to Jira Align. When we go to enable that t-shirt size bidirectional sync, the Jira software data is going to override the Jira Align data in this case. Atlassian did give a few suggestions of how you can remedy this. First, you can manually update the features in Jira Align. This will trigger a sync from Jira Align to Jira, updating that value to be the same. If you have to update a lot of features, you could also do this by exporting your features in Jira Align and re-importing them. You can also do an export of the Jira Align features and then update the Jira epics via import so that the values match, or you could manually update the value on the Jira epics to match that of the Jira Align feature. I do recommend for any administrators watching, updating your users about this and giving them a time period so that they can actually go in and check their data and make sure that they have everything sorted before you make that change. If you did make some updates while you're watching this video, don't forget to go back and save them in Jira Align. Next, we have some updates to the Jira Align connector with Jira software. Moving forward, users will not be able to move a work item syncing with Jira software out of the accepted state in Jira Align. And this is because the connector can actually not remove the resolution in Jira software, again, leading to data inconsistencies. If a user does need to move an item out of accepted, they will need to do so from Jira software. If they're in this situation, the screenshot that you see here is what they'll see. The other options will have a lock next to them, and they'll see a warning identifying that they need to switch to Jira software real quick and make that update so that the status, the resolution, the process step, and the state all do match up. Next, another update for administrators. Jira Align sprints moving forward will only be able to be mapped to one Jira software sprint. This is intended to help prevent some mapping issues with sprints that administrators often experience. Once the sprint is mapped, you'll see a warning here that you aren't able to map it to a second one, though you can change it if you need to. We also have an update to the API 2.0. The delete method is now available for the entities that you see on my screen here. And this update also includes some name changes. This table here is referring to the Jira setup page. The next slide will talk about the team managed projects page. To be clear, none of the functionality of these settings is actually going to change. It is just the title that we see on the screen. I don't find any of these to be too drastic. In fact, I think some of them make it a little bit cleaner and clearer what the setting is actually referring to. I am going to now switch back to Jira Align and talk about the remaining updates. All right, couple of updates again in the administration settings, again on the Jira settings page and on the Jira setup tab. First, you'll notice that you have a new required setting here for the default user. Additionally, they have updated this field to be a typing select field instead of a text field. This is just to help ensure that we don't have any typos in this field causing potential syncing errors. I'm also going to scroll down. In the settings section of this page, we have a bunch of toggles, and you're going to find that the options available have changed on a lot of these. Again, the functionality isn't changing. I do think it's making it more abundantly clear what you're actually selecting in these settings, so I'm really happy to see this update. Most of these settings will have the option of bidirectional sync or Jira to Jira Align sync, making it really clear what you're choosing here. I'm now going to shift over to the objectives tree. This is a bit more of an end user update. A couple releases ago, Atlassian did update the objectives tree view. This is now the new view. We did a deep dive video on this if you're interested in the details of this update. And you also do still need to reach out to Atlassian to have this enabled in your instance. This update did include the addition of the count under each of these status quick filters. While this is a minor update, I have heard Atlassian say that the overall goal here is to make it really quick and easy to understand the overall state of your objectives. And I think this just takes us one step further with that goal. As with most of the Jira Align releases, we do have several defect fixes, a few highlights that may have been impacting your users here. There was a bug that wasn't allowing the push/pull rank to an external system. In most cases, this will be Jira software to function for Kanban teams. So that has been resolved. Additionally, there were some errors that users were experiencing when they were trying to create a dependency from an Epic Details panel. And there were also some bugs that were causing objectives to incorrectly turn red on the program board, and those have all been fixed in this release. For more details on any of these defect fixes or any of the others included in this release, do check out the release notes that are linked in the description of this video. That covers all of the updates to Jira Align with the release of version 10.114. Thank you very much for joining me, and as always, good luck on your Jira Align journey.